everybody. It's Dr. Carmen Bryant. Thank you so much for being here with me. To all the new subscribers that have joined the tribe, I am so honored. I'm so honored with all the stories that you guys give me and all the feedback that I get that is helping you. I love it. You know, I've opened up where you guys can get coaching from me, and I have discounted the fees and kind of kept them at the discounted rate. A lot of you are not coming long term, but you're coming in 1 or 2 times or check in every month, and I love to hear your progress. I love to hear, you know, what you're doing and you know, the healing process that you guys have been through. You find out that you're greater than what you thought you were. You're more powerful than what you thought you were, and that your situation doesn't define you. And so today I just wanted to respond to some of the emails and some of the comments that were being made. Well, comments kind of question. And one of the biggest thing, even in a counseling setting, the question becomes, you know, what more can I do to help the narcissist? What can I do to help them change? What can I do to make them realize that their behavior is, et cetera, et cetera? You know, what more can I do? You know, I've done all that I can do. First of all, the question becomes is, why are you trying to change another person? People only change when they want to change. And a narcissist has no desire to change because they like the way that it feels to get reaction from people. So they like, it's empowerment to them. You know, in order for a person to change, even a narcissist, they have to make up in their mind that they want to change. It's not impossible to change, but the problem is that they have no desire to change. And so, you know, it's a personality disorder. So many of you guys have asked that question, will they ever change? What medication can you get them? What kind of counseling can you get? Well, DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, does that help? DBT was, you know, is for people that have personality disorders. For example, borderline personality disorder. Really, you can't get rid of borderline personality disorder, but it helps them to manage and understand. Does it get rid of the mood cycles? And even sometimes the medication does not help those that have borderline. The medication is really complicated. Most med providers, if you talk to med providers, it's very complicated when they find out that it's not, because bipolar and borderline look very much alike. And so when they find out that it's borderline that they're treating, borderline personality disorder that they're treating, they already know they're in for a run because the medications are not as effective as it is for those with bipolar, because you're dealing with a lot of mood disorders. And also with borderlines, you're also dealing with a lot of choices, you know, and impulse control problems. Well, with a narcissist, you're also dealing with impulse control disorders. Also, do know, if you do your research, that many people that have borderline personality, not all of them, but many people that have borderline personality disorder, there's a high percentage that they also have narcissistic personality disorder. So a lot of you can, you know, that have been with a narcissist, whether it was family members, whether it was a loved one that you had an intimate relationship with, or whether it was your children, you notice borderline personality disorder traits, or you see the full spectrum of borderline personality disorder diagnosis. You know, and a lot of times before, you know, in cases that I've had, borderline personality disorder is the first traits that I notice first before I even notice the narcissistic personality disorder. And then when I pick up the other traits and put the two together, it's kind of mind-blowing, because you're like, wow, this individual vacillates between the two, you know. And so, no, there is no treatment for narcissistic personality disorder. And those that said that there is treatment out there, and they're, you know, yeah, really what you're doing is you're feeding them more information to make them even more covert, you know. So yes, they go to treatment, but treatment normally doesn't work because they want to manipulate and they want to master and control the therapist. And so a lot of them that come in, they will put themselves on an equal playing field with the therapist. And it's hard for the therapist because of the fact that, you know, the therapist is there to help. The therapist is there to point out, you know, these are the things in your life. But 9 times out of 10, they turn around and they become the therapist, you know, and they try to point out, because they can't gain control, or they cannot get control of the therapist, or they can't manipulate the therapist. For some, they can't manipulate the therapist. And so it becomes a matter of, now they become the expert, you know, they become the expert. They become the counselors. They become, because of the fact that you won't fold into their hands. So usually, counseling with a narcissist is usually short-lived, especially for those that do not treat personality disorders. I do not treat personality disorders. I usually refer out to those that do specialize in personality disorder. I usually deal with the after effects of the abuse of people that have personality disorders. And I deal with regular issues like, well, they're not regular issues, but issues such as marriage and family, you know, mental health disorders, you know, coordinating with medical professionals for med management, anxiety, depression, trauma, those kind of things, which is not normal, and is also it also is what you would say very strenuous on the mind, because you really have to be focused when you're dealing with people that have been traumatized. So imagine you're in a session with narcissists, and the whole time you're in a session with a narcissist, it becomes this battle of them trying to control the therapist. And the thing that they hate the most is they hate the fact that the therapist, is educated or has and this is a requirement to be a therapist, so for those of you that are therapists and mental health professional, feel bad about it. It is a requirement for you to be educated and to receive continuing education and to understand trauma and to understand personality disorders and to understand how people conduct themselves or how people act that are disordered, that have disorders. And the problem becomes is that person, for example, that person with narcissistic personality disorders, their whole intention is to control and dominate. And so even with a therapist, a therapist can do the best that they can and provide resources and therapy, but they want control. And so they want control. And so a lot of times it becomes a battle for them because they want control. And so don't be surprised, therapists, when they go on a smear campaign. They do write-ups on you. They talk about you to people. They file complaints about, make sure you keep good notes, because that's how, and so think about it. If this is what a therapist is going through, how can a narcissist ever heal? Because their intention is not to heal. For some narcissists is to always be the victim. Always be the victim. For other narcissists, always be the smartest. For some narcissists, always be the most beautiful, most educated, most sexually attracted, most religious, most sick. There are narcissists that, believe it or not, they want control of your emotions. So they want to control you to a point where you have those that are actually sick. They refuse to take their insulin. For example, those that are diabetics, they refuse to take their insulin because of how you respond and you react. So you become over emotional and please and oh my gosh, and because they enjoy that fuel that they get from that. So they'll purposely allow themselves to be sick. They much rather be sick so that they can get the fuel from the caregivers or from those loved ones, because they want that fuel. And in our mind, it makes no rational sense. Why would you want to kill yourself? Why would you want to be sick? There are people that have told me stories about those that have been diagnosed with cancer, but are in the early stages of the cancer where they don't have any pain or anything, and refusing treatment because, or delaying treatment, or, everybody has their reasons as to why they don't want to go through chemotherapy and all that, but they won't change their lifestyle. They won't go for treatment. And then they play over sick. It's over sick. They begin to play the role of a sick individual before they even get, to the end stages and the painful stages of that cancer. So by the time they get to those end stages, they've wore out the people that they're around and they're really hurting. But they prefer to see the pain and hurt on another person's face because it's really, if you think about it, that is really, really dysfunctional thinking. Who in the world would want to do that? A narcissist, because they get fuel out of that. And so can a narcissist change? They don't want to, because they enjoy the power that they think that they have by trying to control the emotions of other people. And think about the question, what more can I do? What must I do? Most of you leave out of the relationship asking, but I know I played a part in that, and I could have been a better husband. I could have been a better wife. I could have, until you discovered that person is a narcissist. But your mindset is that cognitive dissonance. Your mind understands, you know what you went through and what they are, but your mind still hasn't registered that was them. And you can't change another person. Never get into a relationship, and a lot of young people do that. I can change him. I can change her. We have to love. And that's what love is. You go in and you accept them for who they are. Okay, once you get into a relationship with that narcissist, accept who they are. That they'll never love you, that they cannot connect with you. So don't come to counseling asking, what must I do to change them? They're not going to change. You got into the relationship for the wrong reason. You got into a relationship to change another person. That's power and control too. You can't change another person. It takes two people to be in a relationship. And if one person is putting forth all the energy and making all these changes and they're frustrated because you don't see the other person putting forth any effort, then it is a one-sided relationship. And so most people continue because that narcissist is like they throw little crumbs at you like, well, I am trying. You know I have mental health issues. You know I have emotional issues. You know I'm sick. You know my mom and dad left me. You know my children. You know, and then you're right. And this person is going through so much. Okay, what about you? What about you? Because a narcissist will cut off their nose despite their face in order to get a reaction from you. They will literally kill themselves or allow themselves to be injured or hurt, all because they want a reaction from you. And you will come and save them and save them and save them and save them. And so most of you, I'm so in love and I can't imagine, and that's my job as a mate, as a partner. Your job is not to rescue anybody. Even in a relationship with a narcissist, in a normal relationship, it's a give and take. There's no such thing as a 50-50. It's a give and take relationship. Sometimes you're going to have more than the other person, but and they have a track record that, they will go above and beyond for you. And so because they have that track record and you know that you'll go above and beyond, but it goes back and forth. With a narcissist, it starts off like that in order to trap you in the relationship. And eventually you'll notice that they get you. It's like they present that to you. And then you go on this hamster wheel, just spinning until one day you wake up and like, wait a minute, I'm in this all by myself. And what they'll do is they'll remind you of all the things that they did years ago, everything that they did in the beginning years ago. And then they'll start taking credit for all the things that you're doing. It was me that got you this. It was me that got you this home. It was me that got you this house. It was me that did this. It was me. And if you really sit down and think about it, you start thinking like, wait a minute. You got all this off of my expense, off of my money. I got 18 jobs and there's only 24 hours in a day. And I work 24 hours a day, to maintain this image for you. What are you doing? I have 18 jobs, work 24 hours a day, and you do nothing to contribute to that lifestyle. They'll give a little bit, but they'll wear you out. So the question becomes again, what must I do to help them change? What must I do to help them realize who they are? Let me tell you something. I just had this conversation yesterday. You can, and experience, this is when I was in graduate school. This is when I was in my master's degree. And the class is, for those of you that have went through, the class is assessment, diagnosis, and treatment planning. So you're learning about the different diagnoses. You're learning about the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. So you're learning to see what these diagnoses look like, how they play out, how you diagnose them, how you recognize them, how you do a treatment plan, how you write everything up. And so it's very interesting as you get to know these different disorders. One of the things that the instructor told us in the beginning of the class is do not diagnose yourself, because everybody probably has some traits of the diagnosis in the book. But if you diagnose yourself, you're probably going to have all the diagnoses in the book. It'll drive you crazy. She says, second, she said, do not diagnose your family, because you can find traits of all these disorders. You can find it in your families. Well, guess what Carmen did? I diagnosed everybody in the family, everybody. And then everybody that I met, I was diagnosing, because it was very interesting. And so I remember having a conversation. I was still in the military at the time. I remember having this conversation with this individual, and I told you guys on another video. And it was funny because a narcissist, I know now that person was a malignant narcissist, somatic malignant narcissist, who also vacillated between a cerebral narcissist and somatic narcissist. Somatic narcissist was the dominant trait, but they were also cerebral, and but very, very, very somatic and very malignant. I remember having, because you just pick guinea pigs, and I was in the military, so I had like guinea pigs. All my soldiers became guinea pigs, and the people around me, so I would ask them questions. So I remember one day I was like, hey, this person has an issue. And so at the time I was like, they have borderline traits, but they have a lot of narcissistic traits. And so I remember I was trying to figure out like what this person was. So I had to ask questions. So I was like, finally, I just gave them the two diagnoses. I said, which one do you fit? And so I remember the person looking, they were like, borderline doesn't really strike me as anything that I would be. Narcissist sounds more like me. And they actually started, without looking at the symptom, well, they looked at the symptoms, but then they started talking about, and this was prior to them, well, hold on. They actually started talking about how they were. And then later on, they went back and it chose narcissistic personality disorder as that sounds exactly like me. And so the questions that I was asking, well, the conversation I was having before, the individual was like, I know that I lie. I lie all the time. I'm always trying to make myself look better than the other person. I'm always trying to show out. I'm always trying to make it look like, I lie. I cheat on my wife all the time. And what else? What else did they say? I cheat on my wife all the time. It's too easy to manipulate women because all you have to do is tell them how pretty they are because they're naive like that. What else did he say? You buy them a little something, throw them a little something. It's too easy to manipulate a woman. It's too easy to do that. It's always been easy for me to manipulate. But I know what I do. I know this is what I'm like. And so years later, when I look back at the conversation, I'm like, oh my gosh, they recognize they recognize what they do. A narcissist knows what they do, and they can give you all the symptoms of what they do. Once you put a title to it, though, and remember, it is out there. People are talking about it, and it's a very negative thing that we're talking about when it comes to the survivors. And so they don't want to be associated to the negativity unless there is some type of, there's some type of gain that they can get out of it. But most of them don't want to be associated with that title because of the fact of how negative it is and how people really begin to, I'm not going to say mistreat, but distance themselves. They don't have it's like the spotlight is on them now. And so they don't want to admit that that's what they are. But they'll describe their whole personality traits to you. And it's like reading the manual, all 9 traits, all 5 traits, they fit the categories, and they'll tell you all about them. As soon as you say, do you know that you have narcissistic personality disorder? What's the first thing that they'll say? Some of you guys know. No, everybody has narcissistic traits. You have narcissistic traits, and you fit these titles right here yourself. And I've heard that too many times sitting in counseling with people. Well, they are actually with a narcissist person, and they actually said it. I said, why would you tell them that? But they would tell them that. And the first thing what happened, they gaslighted. And everybody has narcissistic traits. You have all these traits right here. All this right here that I said, or all this right here fits you perfectly because this is who you are. So it becomes confusing because most of you ask the question like, am I the narcissist? And it's gaslighting. They're doing the very thing that they do all the time. They gaslight and they flip and they project on you. So the way that they feel, and remember, you're in a relationship with a narcissist, they take everything that they feel and they think and they project it on you, and you end up taking the responsibility of what their thoughts are. Those are not your thoughts. Those are the narcissist thoughts. That is not the way that you are. That's the way that they are, not you are. And so they'll tell you, you are a broken individual. You are a narcissist. You are a manipulative person. You are with it because they want control. And so the one thing that they'll do is they'll mess with your emotions. They are emotional vampires. And so everything that they are and everything that they do and the way that they think, they put it on you and hold you responsible for how they are. And one thing they cannot handle is when you put the responsibility back on them and it doesn't bother you. And they will go on a smear campaign. So just be prepared. But can a narcissist change? What can you do to help them? Nothing. Because it takes a person to realize what problems they're causing in a relationship. You shouldn't have to go to a person that has narcissistic, it doesn't matter if you do or not. You shouldn't have to go to your partner and tell your partner that there's a problem. Hey, there's a problem in the relationship. And you know what? I don't know how long I'm going to be in this relationship because, this is how I'm feeling. I feel neglected. I feel this. I feel that. A person like yourself who understands that will begin to make adjustments like, wow, you know what? It may take you some time to think about like, wow, I don't want to be like that. I need to change. I need to work on me. And a lot of you that begin to work on you first, and you have that aha moment and that revelation of what you're dealing with, a lot of you strengthen yourself. And what happens is that narcissist feels themselves losing power over you. They begin to feel you pulling away. And a lot of them have said, who are you talking to? Someone is in your ear. Somebody is saying something because it's not their language. It's not what they taught you. It's not how they isolated you away from people. That's why they isolate you away from people, because they want to have the only influence in your life. And so they've isolated you away from people to keep influences out, so they have total control and total influence. That everything that they say is golden, that no matter what anybody else says, that you will only believe them. And all of a sudden you start changing. You start distancing yourself. You start watching. You start speaking up for yourself. And that narcissist, remember I said it in one video, they almost have an animalistic look. And you can see their facial expression, like they can see something has changed. And they'll tell you, you've changed. Why are you changing? You're not the same person you used to be at one time. Now, some of you guys take it as an insult. You better take that as a compliment, because you have changed. You have become more knowledgeable. You're getting more stronger, and they're noticing that. And they'll take it and they'll flip it and make it negative. You've changed. Why are you changing? It's not like it used to be at one time. It used to be fun and loving. You used to be this. No, you're recognizing that you are being manipulated. You're being bullied. You're being abused. And you're waking up. And they're noticing that they're losing control over you. That's not a negative thing. That's a positive thing. Continue that, because they know when you're changing, and they'll tell you who you've been talking to. Somebody's been in your ear. Somebody's been saying stuff. Some of you guys have been on the videos. Some of you guys have been in counseling, but you're waking up and you're learning to defend yourself. There's nothing wrong with defending yourself. There's nothing wrong with you speaking up for yourself. You should speak up for yourself and stop trying to change them, because in a normal, whatever we consider a normal relationship, it takes two people to realize what their mistakes are and to correct those mistakes and grow together. I should be able to figure out, okay, you don't like when I say this, or you don't like when I yell, or you don't like for me to approach you in that type of way. And you should be able to recognize, like, dang, she's not the type of person that, so I'm not going to approach her like that. That's one of her biggest pet peeves. And so I respect her boundaries. Narcissists don't appreciate boundaries. When you put up boundaries, they're offended. And they will tell you that they're offended because you mistreated me. So to them, boundaries is torment and torture. So when you put boundaries and you won't allow them to cross your boundaries, they think you're torturing them. They think you're abusing them. You are an abusive individual, and you are a narcissist, and you are and the attacks come because they are hurt that they cannot control you. So boundaries to them is torment. How dare you not let me control you? And so they will play mind games, emotional games, and gaslight you to get that control. Maintain your boundaries. Stop letting your emotions lead your life. Your emotions are going to get you in trouble. It's not about what you feel. I feel. No, sometimes you have to use your logical mind. Sometimes you have to be responsive and not reactive. Responsive, you're going to think before you respond to, because reaction, someone asked what is reaction versus response. Reaction is impulse. You just react. You hit me, I hit you back. There's no thought about it. Response means you think it out. You play it out in your head and then you respond. Reaction, you'll make a mistake in your reactions because it's impulse. It's too quick. Response, think about before you respond. A lot of you get in trouble with these narcissists, and they fight you back because they know they want that reaction. They want that reaction, and your reaction will cause you to make mistakes, especially in the courtroom situations. Your reactions cause mistakes, and you'll do things and say things out of the impulse that you didn't mean to say. So you think it out. It doesn't matter how long it takes for you to think it out. Think it out before you respond. Think it out before you text. Think it out before you make a declaration. Think it out before, think and respond. They don't like for a response because they're quick. They're hustlers. They're manipulators. They want a quick reaction. They want you to say stuff like, that's what you said. That's what you said. And they'll use it against you in the court of law. You cannot change a narcissist. It's not your responsibility to change a narcissist. It doesn't matter how much you do. If you are over-focused on what must I do to help them change and help them come to terms with, you are focused on the wrong thing. You need to focus on you. Because once you start from focusing on you, and you begin to grow and you begin to get knowledge, you will eventually begin to grow apart from them and see them for who they are. And some of you who have been out of the relationship are almost appalled at the fact that you were even with a person like this. And you beat yourself up and feel bad because how did I end up with a person like this? And then the struggle becomes, it's not that you're arrogant or you're afraid that you're responding or you're acting or reacting like they are by saying I'm better than you. It's not that you're being arrogant, but in actuality, wait a minute, I'm better than that. How did I let myself get that low? How did I connect with someone that has no respect for themselves and I have no respect for? I'm embarrassed to be around you. I'm embarrassed to be seen with you. Yeah, you're attractive, him or her. Yeah, you got this good job. job and everything, but I don't even want anybody to know I'm affiliated with you. And yet I'm with you anyway because we're family now, and some of you guys are so embarrassed at the fact that you even were with someone like that, and then you struggle back and forth like, should I go back? Should I stay? Should I go back? It was better when I was there. No, sometimes when you start all over again, you start all over again. And when you start all over again, you have to give up what you had to start all over again. And you'll find that you have a lot of strength. A lot of you have a lot of strength. You just don't realize you have a lot of strength. And a lot of times, a lot of you are loyalists. And so you just won't leave. It takes them to leave you for you to finally get started with your new life. Because a lot of you are loyalists, you won't let go. Some things you have to let go. You ever seen that thing on Facebook where it shows like you holding on to something and your knuckles are all white and red and they're hurting and you just won't let go what's in your hand? When you let go of what's in your hand begins to heal. Some of you have to let go. Let go of what you thought you had, because what you thought you had was not real. It was an illusion. And that's where my book comes in. If you go on Barnes & Noble or on Amazon, it's the Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. There are real stories of real people that went through narcissist abuse. So we're not just talking, a lot of times we talk about what it looks like clinically, but this here are the stories of people that were in it, how they got into it, how their families manipulated them, how their parents or grandparents manipulated them, and they were narcissists. How the things that were said to cause them to have this dysfunctional GPS system that led them right into the arms of a narcissist, how their children were abused and groomed, sexually groomed, for a narcissist. How some of the stories of the narcissist, how the narcissist actually was bisexual and lived bisexual, but yet was somatic narcissist who preyed on women so that no one knew that they were actually bisexual. How they got away. Some of these people were high-ranking individuals in their corporations. How did I get with someone at that low standard of thinking and lifestyle? The things that they used to do, I think it was insurance frauds and all the things that they used to do to maintain the somatic lifestyle. These are real stories. Now, it's Christian book, meaning that I implemented Christian encouragement. For those of you that are not believers, and a lot of you said that you weren't, but you found yourself in that book and you understood that book was meant for you because you found yourself in that book and it gave you a different perspective. So you stop beating yourself up sometimes you're groomed and you grew up in that environment and that's how you ended up where you were. And so if you're not a believer, take the principles out of the book. Most people found the principles and they found themselves in the book, and it really gave them a sense of peace knowing that I was groomed, manipulated, and I grew up like that and grew into a relationship like that, and I know I'm better than that. Once you get that understanding, you'll begin to heal. And so my book is Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. You can find it on Barnes & Noble. You can find it on Westbow Press. For those of you that are out of country, they'll ship out of country. And Amazon, you can get it Kindle. You can get it shipped to you. Some of you are waiting for me to get my order in. And some people, the few books that I had, I sent it out. Some of you are waiting for me to get mine in so I can write in the book for you. So as soon as I get the books in, I'll let you guys know. And then I'll just take the orders, and then you guys can, pay me, and I'll send you so I can get your address so I can send it to you. And thank you guys so much for following me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. Share these videos because you never know who gets these videos. You never know who, sometimes the people that are closest to you, and I found out, and I'm one of the people that's actually on the videos talking. I found out family members that were involved with narcissistic relationships I never knew. For years, I never knew. And then they told me, Carmen, I was watching your video and oh my God, you described to the T this individual. And it never dawned on me. And when I went back to look and they were telling me about the individual, I was like, oh my gosh, it was right there and we never paid attention to it. Never thought anything about it. And they were right there, within the family. They had married into the family, or they had, or they were dating and like, wow, family members were like, wow, I never knew. And I was like, wow, me neither. I never paid attention to it. And so you never know who in your circle or who outside of the circle, when you share the videos, what pops up on the timelines, and people are finding these videos, don't even know you, and is speaking to their situation right then. So, reach out and help people, share the videos. And those of you that ask about donations, as I told you guys before, a lot of times I can't get on camera because I'm trying to get the clients because my first priority is my clients in my office. And so sometimes I can't get on camera because I have to get the people in the office. But your donations help a lot because the videos, those of you know, when you monetize videos, you don't make a whole lot of money off of these videos, especially the topic that we're talking about, unless you got millions of followers, and so I don't focus on trying to make money off it. If I get some, that is great. That'll pay some bills. But for those of you that want to donate, please donate, because I do this for free. I don't do this with a cost in mind. And I come, and it takes a lot of time to study. It takes a lot of time to talk, and it takes up, time that I can have clients in. So those of you that have asked about donations, feel free to donate. There is a Cash App link, and there's a PayPal link right up underneath my videos for those of you. And those of you that have donated, I am so honored. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, you guys. I got my own hair stuck in my giant eyelashes. But thank you guys so much for your support. I am so honored. Thank you guys so much for the emails. Now, you guys know, if you write these long emails, basically what you're asking for is a free consultation. And I don't have time to sit and read. Some of those emails are very, very long. I know you want to get stuff off your chest, but that requires a session with me. And so if you want to get stuff off your chest, don't write the long emails. Just make a session with me. And I am giving discounted prices. So inbox me, Dr. Carmen Bryant at Outlook.com. DrCarmenBryant at Outlook.com, and I will give you my coaching fees. But some of you guys are sending these long stories. That's an intake. I literally sit and do intakes with people that are that long. And so that's a free counseling, or a free, not counseling, but coaching session. No, I cannot provide counseling over state lines. I can provide you with coaching, but that is not counseling. And that will connect you to, it's not connect you to, but to make sure you're connected to other resources. Those of you that are looking for counselors and you really can't find anybody that deals with narcissist abuse, post-traumatic stress, trauma, you can go, there's a link, it's betterhelp.com/Dr. Carmen. It's a nominal fee, meaning a low fee. And when you click on the link, which is a sponsored link from me, it gives you a 10% discount. Those of you that are having some financial issues, if you let them know, they do have grants that will assist you in getting you some type of help. A lot of people have given some really great reviews on the counselors because they understand narcissist abuse. They do understand it. And then you just have to ask questions. They do FaceTime, they do video conference, they do telephonic, they do email, online. And so, and a lot of them they're good. They're licensed counselors, and they are nationwide. And so if you click on the link, betterhelp.com/Dr. Carmen is right up underneath my video. You can get some help, and make sure you guys go and support my mentor. She has been traveling, and so a lot of times she can't get on video as much as I can sometimes either, but she does a lot of traveling. So she is global. She travels a lot. She's always in and out the state, the country, and so, but she does come in, and if you go to her YouTube channel, it is Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper. Make sure you subscribe to her channel, because she brings to you narcissist abuse from a spiritual and biblical perspective. I usually try to focus on the clinical and experiential part and answer your question, and she is biblical and spiritual in her interpretation of narcissist abuse. She's like me, even though she is the presiding prelate of Into His Chambers Global Ministry, which is our church, and she's the senior pastor. She does understand that everybody's not a believer, and so a lot of people that are followers on there, she acknowledges the fact that not everybody is a believer. And so she gives you the information, and then she tells you to implement that information the best way that you can, based on your belief system. So, you can't make an excuse saying that there's no information out there. You have people like Associate Direct, which is Mr. Quinn Holiday. You have people like Tanya Melanie Evans. You have people like Angie Atkinson. You have Dr. Ramani. You have who else? A lot of good people. Oh, Dr. Les Carter. He's really awesome. You have, Little Shaman. She is awesome. Straight to the point. You have all these people out there that is providing you with information. You got to get the information. You have to change the way that you're thinking, because you have been programmed to think a certain way. And so thank you guys once again so much. Please go to my Facebook. I do have a professional Facebook, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services. And I post these videos on there, but a lot lot of times when I do speaking engagements, like in church venues or on religious platforms, I don't post them to my professional Facebook page. So my other Facebook page is Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, the like. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure you hit all, so you get all the alerts. So whenever I come on live, whenever I post a new video, you guys are there to get it. So once again, thank you guys, and as always, go and be great.